Welcome to the Big Time Strength Podcast, featuring small school strength coaches making the big time where they're at. Today, our host, Coach Preston Peterson, interviews a high school strength coach who is creating a big time strength conditioning experience for their student athletes. Today's episode is sponsored by TeamBuildr. TeamBuildr provides strength conditioning software to athletics programs around the country. Whether you write your own programs or want access to over 100 templates, TeamBuildr can make your program more efficient, more accountable, and smarter when it comes to measuring your team's effort in the weight room. Visit their website and start a 14-day free trial at teambuildr.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey guys, in this episode, I get to interview Coach Kyle Keese of Geyer High School in Denton, Texas. Coach is doing an outstanding job at Geyer, and I think you will really enjoy this episode. Kyle received his bachelor degree in exercise and sports studies from Tarleton State University in 2006. While at Tarleton, he was part of the Lone Star Conference Championship team in 2001 and North Division champions in 2002. Kyle is currently the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Geyer High School in Denton, Texas, and has been there since 2007. During that time, Geyer has reached the quarterfinals, state semifinal twice, state finalists in 2010, and back-to-back state championships in 2012 and 2013. Coach is a certified strength and conditioning coach through the National Strength and Conditioning Association and is also recognized sports performance coach level 1 with USA Weightlifting. In this episode, we discuss Coach Keese's journey in strength and conditioning, what Geyer's strength and conditioning program culture is like, how Coach programs in season and out of season, and how he is incorporating speed training year-round, and what his plan looks like for the future. Thank you, Coach Keese, for taking the time to invest in others. Coach Keese, it's great to have you on the show. I want to open up the show asking you where you are at now, kind of your background up to this point, and kind of give the listeners an overview of what your job looks like day to day.
Okay, well, I'm currently at Denton High School. It's a 6A school in Texas in the Metroplex. I grew up in Dublin, Texas, which is about 75 miles from where I'm at right now, little bitty small town. Went to Tarleton State University, graduated in 2006. And what really got me into strength conditioning, I've always enjoyed lifting. I've always loved being around sports. I knew something in college was going to draw me towards being a coach or something along those lines. I worked at a middle school that feeds into Geyer. I worked there for about a year, and then I moved up to the high school. I got to know our defensive coordinator real well. He has a great knowledge of how to properly train kids, and I spent a lot of time just kind of picking his brain and learning from him. And I guess from that instance, he really kind of pointed in the direction of Boyd Epley. Read his first book, and then from there, it just kind of like wildfire. Like I just fell in love with it and knew that was going to be my calling. So I chose strength conditioning, and then it was hard for me. I'm still coaching football. It's hard for me to leave football because I love the sport so much, but my heart is completely in strength conditioning.
That's awesome, Coach. I'm excited that you get to do exactly what you want to do, and I know that it's awesome being able to show up to a job every single day that you have that passion for. Can you tell me a little bit about your culture at Geyer High School and say, like, specifically to strength and conditioning, and maybe how that spills over to the rest of the school or sport teams or whatever that would look like for your program?
Okay, so our culture, we've tried to develop a culture that's different from anybody else. And what I mean by different is I always tell our kids, if somebody ever moves in or somebody comes in to watch us, I want them to be blown away by how hard and focused we are at work. So when the kids step on campus, man, the first thing they're going to learn to do is move around with urgency. I think before anything, if you're lethargic and slow, you're not very efficient with your time. So from day one, they've learned to move around quick in the weight room. If we're outside on the field, I think nowadays one of the biggest things that you can teach students is just work ethic. Especially nowadays with those kids wanting everything instant gratification, they get on their cell phones and get what they want right now. It's hard for them to understand that there's a process and it takes time and it takes relentless effort to get what they need to get, and just teach them to be consistent day in, day out, hard work. I think I've also got the kids that really believe in, smart training. And a lot of kids, they come in, they don't really understand what true good training is. To them, if you go outside to a trainer and get your tail whipped, and that, you sweat and you're hard, you can't breathe, you want to pass out, and that's not a good indicator of smart training. So our kids understand there's days we push hard, and there's days we completely back off, and for them to buy in, especially today's culture, it's huge.
Coach, you talk about smart training, and I kind of want to just pick your brain a little bit about how you guys train. Can you give us kind of a rundown what it would look like maybe for an in-season athlete, and then also once you get around to an out-of-season athlete?
Okay, so we'll talk about in-season for football. We're on a 3-day split. We'll come in on Monday. We kind of consider that our strength day, so we'll do kind of more of our grind work. We'll do squats. We'll do some type of row and some type of hinge. We typically keep things in season 2 to 3 exercises a day. We're kind of limited on time because of practice and because of film and other things pulling the kids out. Typically, Monday's our harder day. We'll come in on Wednesdays. We'll have a day in between, and it's more of a speed strength emphasis. We're trying to move the bar quickly. We'll do some clean pulls, some type of explosive press. And then because we do so much pressing on the field, we do a lot of pulls and rows to strengthen the posterior chain. And then typically if we have the game on Friday, we'll have kind of like a day just to come in. It's not long. I want to spend probably about 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes max. Just get them in the weight rooms. Start with just the barbell, gradually add some weight. We'll do like a short little complex, just trying to get the blood flowing and start the recovery process after a game. That's how we basically break down our end season. And I may make some modifications based on the sport and based on the athletes. For instance, like our older kids who have a lot of playing time, or varsity kids, I want to really take care of them. So I may modify a lift. I may change the position. Pick a clean, for instance. We may not catch. We may just do straight pulls. For our offensive linemen, I may have them do like board presses versus a full range of motion bench. And then, for our sub-varsity kids, I'll probably do a little more volume with them because, they're trying to grow, they're trying to get bigger and stronger. So I'll add a little more volume to them. Off season, we go from basically a 3-day lift to a 4-day lift. And Monday's typically our harder day. I know I can't control everything. I know on the weekends it gets kind of crazy and they may not sleep like they're supposed to, but it'd be a high-intense day. We'll come in, we'll clean, do some type of posterior chain work, some single leg work. And then in the afternoons they'll come in, we'll do some speed development. On Tuesdays they'll come in and we'll do basically squat, bench, your basic strength movements. And then the same thing on Thursday, we'll have like a speed strength, lighter weight, moving the bar quick, and then Fridays typically save for our squats. And those Thursdays and Fridays kind of match what we do on Mondays and Tuesdays. And Thursday's more of an emphasis on agility outside.
You talked a little bit about agility right there at the end. Can you give us a rundown of what that looks like within the program too? I know you have a progression of how you teach and all that type of stuff. And how does that fit in your progression or your training philosophy for the 4 days? So you said Thursdays you're going out there. What does that look like?
We'll come out, we do probably the first 2 or 3 weeks, we do what we call our grid. And it basically what it is technique training. And I know there's a lot of people out there talking about technique training doesn't have a whole lot of transfer to true sport. But in my mind, I'm working with, kids that are still developing. So we're going to really break down movement and teach them how to move properly. We slow things down, teach them how to speed cut, teach them how to back pedal, how to shuffle, crossover step, just the basics. And that will progress throughout 2 or 3 weeks. And the second day typically is probably more lateral emphasis. And as we go 3rd, 4th, 5th day, instead of having a linear and lateral day, they'll start to blend more together. And each and every single day after we get done teaching the technique, we go back to some type of movement game where it's not just predetermined go to point A to point B, but it's working off the body based on the movement we've been teaching for that day. After we've gone through a grid phase, our technique work, now we're getting into more like game-like situations. A lot of the games we play, for instance, like football, a we do a lot of lateral chase. We do a lot of one-on-ones, speed cuts based off of a body. And as that moves on throughout off season, it becomes involved where you're working off of trash cans. You're working off several bodies instead of one body. There's a whole bunch of stimulus thrown at them. So there's not the whole idea of going from cone A to cone B is gone. And it's chaotic. You don't know what's going to go on.
So when you're working with all your guys, say for the football team, what does it look like for your session? Is it just you out there running a whole group of, like 80 guys, or what's that look like as far as staffing and maybe how you organize your sessions?
No, I'm pretty fortunate. We have 16 coaches on staff, and some of them may have a second sport, track or baseball or something. But for a typical day, I'll have probably 8 to 10 guys at my disposal. So we meet on Mondays before workouts start, and I'll go over exactly what we have planned for the week, day by day, minute by minute, and really describe, what do we do in the weight room? What do I want you coaching up? What do I want you paying attention to? And then they'll have specific drills that I want those coaches to teach. There's certain rules and certain guidelines. I have videos to them that they can really understand what I'm looking for and how to run a drill. But no, basically what I do is I run around and I'm just checking drill by drill, make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm really become a facilitator more than anything.
So when you're managing that many people, how do you go about, making them better? How do you evaluate, and then how do you build that staff up?
So I like having somebody on staff videoing everything. It may be for a highlight video, but I also use it kind of for review. One, for me, if the kids are getting across what we need to get across, if the coaches are understanding what I'm wanting to get out of a drill. So we'll kind of do take those videos and review it as a staff, see what's working, what's not working, even take suggestions from them. How can we make this drill more efficient? Can we make it up into smaller groups? What can we apply to it to make it more successful? And it's all about, not just educating the kids, but educating the coaches. In case one day, they decide to leave, they can run their own program. That is
sweet stuff. I would be excited to be on a staff like that where there is so much evaluation and critiquing and building up and getting better. The thing that I'm really interested to hear is, we always, all strength coaches have hurdles, right? We all have something that's a little bit tougher for us. And I kind of want to hear what is your hurdle, and then how are you going about overcoming that challenge?
I think it's like something like I said earlier. It's just getting the kids to understand how to work. From day one, I make it a standard, like, this is the way we're going to do things. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And, for the first couple of weeks, man, kids, I'm like, man, this stinks, man. I hate doing this stuff. We just keep doing the same stuff over and over again. Probably the first 2 or 3 days, they learn to run in and out of the weight room and how to set up the racks, and learn how to set the bar at certain heights for squat for certain people. I teach them how to take the benches out of the rack. I teach them how to set the crash bars. I teach them how to set the bar, where to set it in case they're not using it. Just little things a lot of people overlook that, not only makes us more efficient, but it also can cause injuries if we're not careful. But I teach them to pay attention to the finer details and work at a high level and fast pace, but also at a safe pace. But just, teach your kids to be consistent day in and day out with the work ethic. And it's one of the hardest things to do nowadays.
I think it can't be overstated how important it is to lay that foundation at the beginning. I think back to, the beginning of the school year, beginning of the season, and getting those standards put out there and how it's going to flow. And I totally know what you're saying with when kids are just like, okay, when are we going to get to the stuff? And it's always a great reminder to say, hey, this is the fundamentals. This is the stuff that we need to learn so that we can move efficiently and to get after it. I really like that you are reinforcing that and letting them know that's an important deal. Sometimes I find myself like that, where I'm thinking, man, we need to get going. But it's a great reminder that, man, we slow it down. It's a progression. I like that.
Yeah. Well, you talk about utilizing staff. The first day they come in, I have the staff. There's probably about 1 or 2 coaches per rack. And we just slow things down just a tad and just teach them, how do you take this thing out of the rack? How do you pull the bar off safely? And they teach the kids how to do these things. And after about 2 or 3 days, then I start putting them on a stopwatch. All right, we got this amount of time to do this. Because at first, the kids are like, man, this is lame. Why are we doing this? Then after about 2 weeks, they go from taking about 4 minutes to break down the rack to about 30 seconds. And I try to show these guys, like, this is just small percentages of improvement. You know, think about what you can do with this rack and set it up and be more efficient with time for our training. And what else can you do in our training that can improve by 1%? You know, how these small little details are going to make us better. That a lot of people just overlook.
That's an awesome mentality. I like what you're doing there, Coach. I want to hear also about how you're developing leaders. You know, you're talking about having coaches at each one of those racks or a couple racks. I also know that a lot of times at a rack, you're going to have some guys or girls that are stepping up that you know you can count on. How are you developing those people?
I mean, it's a hard thing. Kids are not real good, it seems like, at communicating. So, you know, you have those kids who are easy to take charge. There's like, I think it was a book I was reading. I think it's called Above the Line is where I got it from. But there's about 10% that you don't have any problems with. They do everything you say at a high level. There's about 80% that are kind of bought in. They'll do most of the things you do. They're just kind of lost sometimes. And you have 10% who don't do anything you ask. And I think the 10% is easy. The 80% is the ones you really got to focus on. And if the 10%, the other 10% that doesn't want to do anything, if they want to buy in or get lost, whatever. But you try to put kids in situations where they're uncomfortable. And, you know, it's like when I first started coaching, I didn't want to go speak at clinics because I was afraid of being wrong. And I was afraid of speaking in front of people. But I knew if I went out and spoke in front of somebody, get myself uncomfortable, it was going to make me a better coach. Well, same vice versa with kids. I want to put them in situations where they're not comfortable, but it allows them to grow and learn. It's okay to fail. They develop leaders they come in every single day and they're working together, grinding together. You know, you're trying to push each other to, you know, push reps or finish a complex or whatever it is. Kids are in the same boat, and that starts to develop natural leaders. We don't really believe in our program of having captains. You know, that sounds weird in a lot of places, but we don't want to label kids, hey, you're the captain. Because we don't say, hey, seniors, you're the only captains we got. No, a freshman, sophomore, if you're willing to step up, man, step up. So, you know, it may be a competition or something that makes a kid step up. You know, sometimes we'll even, after a while through off season, once we've gotten the warm-up down real well, I'll let the kids start to run the warm-up. And if it's not done right, then I'll call them back. We'll do it again. And slowly but steadily, they start taking over. And eventually down in the summer, if I know we're having a pretty simple workout, they really don't need me a whole lot, I want to see them run a little bit. I want to see what kind of message am I conveying to these kids. How are they seeing me? How are they perceiving me? And I can evaluate, you know, from back behind them.
The thing that I draw from that, you know, just first of all, you hit on the 10%, the 80%, and the 10%. And it's interesting. I was trying to think through my kids, you know, my student athletes right now. And I told it falls into that situation. And it really does that 80%, you know, if you get them going in the right direction, it's awesome. The thing that is always tough and you just, you know, I bang my head against the wall and it's the kids I'm trying to reach to is that 10%, you know, and let them know that it's okay to fail. And I love that line for you to get out of your comfort zone. Because to me, a lot of times that 10%, what I'm seeing is it's the kids that they don't want to fail. And that's the thing. That's why they're not bought in or they're not giving it all because of that. And I think that you putting that out there and letting the kids know that that's a big deal is pretty cool to me.
Right. And, you know, from my standpoint, we're talking about the 10-80-10. I used to focus so much energy on that bottom 10% that it would draw me down and my attitude would be negative sometimes because I'd focus on the guys who didn't want to move. You know, I finally started to switch my focus on those 80s and 10s, the higher 10s. I'm like, you know, it's going to come a point if I focus so much on that good energy and good effort that those 10%, they're going to weed themselves out. They're going to find themselves outnumbered. And as a coach, I think don't get caught up in the trap of trying to fix everybody. Either get on the boat or don't. So lead your leaders and lead the guys who fall behind them and get them in the right direction. And those guys will have to make a decision sooner or later. But stay positive.
That's sweet. So It's the namesake of the show, making the big time where you're at. I want you to give me the rundown of what it looks like to make the big time where you're at Guyer High School.
And I don't know how to say that. I guess our kids kind of speak for itself. Their work ethic, I feel like every time that somebody comes in and watches us work out that's not in our program, man, just because of their buy-in, man, people are blown away by how hard and how focused they are when they work. And I think that just kind of makes a name for ourselves because we just consistently, day in, day out, push ourselves and being technicians. You know, whether it's me posting out a video of our cleans, you know, I'm going to post bad stuff too, but majority of our kids, man, they buy into technique. And they know that that's most important, not load. You know, the weight and the load will come later on, but being very proficient, being technicians in movement, I think it really separates us and makes us big time.
You speak about the videos that you put out, and I think a lot of coaches have seen what you put out there. And I was going through before the show, just checking out some of the videos that you've had, and you're right, man. It's awesome when you got kids that have bought into the technique, and then you see the load. You know, that was part of one of your big highlights. Was, man, I was going through. I'm like, man, these kids they're catching the way that they need to catch, and it was 275, 305, 315 pounds, and pretty cool stuff. I think,
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. I was, it spurs me on, man. I love seeing that stuff and saying, this is something to work towards and getting as many guys on board and as possible. So I commend you.
And when somebody turns on that video, what they don't see is the stuff we do behind the scenes. It's not like we're lifting heavy cleans all the time, man. We're coming in and working 70, 75% and becoming proficient lightweight. And the first thing we do when we come into warm-ups, it's barbell. There's no weight on the bar. It's barbell warm-up. And it's something minor like getting hip extension bar and receiving bar in a hurry and then squat. It's just, like I said, it's every single day being technicians. And when off-season's done, there's that video that shows this is what all that little bitty things and all that hard work and consistency, this is how it pays off. This is focus on the process every day, and this is what your end result could be.
I'm just writing down some stuff, Coach, and challenging me on a lot of things. I like it. We're to the point where I kind of want to know things that you're learning, that you're improving, some of the things that you want to get better at. You're always forcing people to get better. You're telling them, hey, get out of your comfort zone. And I want to know your current thing. What are you forcing yourself to get better at?
Speed development. That's my thing right now that I'm really trying to – I don't think I've done a very good job. I've been so acceleration emphasis that I've not seen the other end of the spectrum when it comes to max velocity, top-end speed training. And I really understand the benefit, when it comes to training max velocity, what it does for acceleration, what it does for deceleration, what it does for, when it comes to speed. A lot of people don't teach top-end because they're afraid of soft tissue injuries. And actually, if you train it and progress it right, that it can help reduce the amount of injuries and what it can do for your team from a training aspect if it's done properly. So I've really had to dig into I've just enrolled in the Altus Essentials course, seeing everything I can that Dan Path puts out there. James the Thinker, Smith, what he puts out. There's other people, Lauren Landau, what he does with speed development. And there's some good resources on Twitter that people who talk about speed development that I've just done a terrible job. I'm admitted that I've been wrong. I just didn't know. And it's my part of trying to learn more about that and improving.
Have you got to see some of the fruit of that learning? I mean, have you had the opportunity to implement some of the stuff and where are you fitting that in also?
Okay. So, my biggest thing, and I didn't know how to fix it, but I'd always watched film the last few years, and when a kid would break away, they always felt like they were kind of like chug-a-lugging. They could never just stand up in upright posture and run gracefully, with tall. And this past summer, or before the summer, really dug into top-end training and implemented it in the summer with wickets and PVC drills and, reaching out to another person, John Garish. We went from could not open up and run to being a lot better come summer. I started measuring through they use an app. I think it's called Sprint Timer. It's not right on, but it's something for me to measure. But the kids coming to ground improved tremendously. The kids look better running. It's funny because the speed started to improve, and so did the vertical jumps, and weight started jumping up just a little bit more. And it's something we're going to continue to do throughout the season. We're still working on mechanics during warm-ups before practice, and when we're in the weight training before we lift. I think mechanics can be taught over and over again, not just focusing on squats, Olympic movements, but teaching mechanics in the weight room too.
So when you're doing your measurement stuff, are you doing some flying measurements? Is that how you're setting up?
Yes, flying tens. Basically, I use until I get my knowledge a little bit better. I may improve something else, but for right now, flying tens.
That's sweet, Coach. That's another thing that so far I would say that was my biggest learning or improving I want to do is speed development. It was actually acceleration and speed development, and that whole package of just becoming better movers. And I like what you said when you started to see all the other things improve with it. You're just like, man, like that when you have a carryover.
I said, man, I'm an idiot. I should have learned this a lot sooner.
Yeah, that's another thing where I'm just like, hey, this is something that has to be implemented. Speed development is what we're looking for. We want to see carryover to the field, court, track, whatever it is, and that is cool.
It was tough at first to try to get, and I know some of the coaches understood, but we're doing speed development one day. It's sprint real hard and then take a long recovery. Work little mechanics. It doesn't seem like you're doing a whole lot, but the training effect, man, it's above and beyond what you can do for your body anywhere else, whether it be in the weight room or outside, but definitely beneficial.
All right. What are your favorite professional development resources?
Man, like what I was saying earlier, I just got into Altus Essentials course. Man, that stuff's, it's a lot of it right now. I'm only about 2 modules into it, but it's a great refresher course so far. It's led by Dan Path and some other guys that are at Altus. Man, it's some great information. I can't wait to see what's up next. But, going to clinics, and here's another thing when it comes to growing as a coach. I was so worried about not being right, not knowing answers, that I kind of kept to myself about a lot of things. But really my best resources are just reaching out to other coaches and talking to them and opening it up and learning from guys who've been through the ringer before. And the last 2 years, and man, it's been greatly beneficial to us and to me as a coach.
I just want to say, as much as the information that you put out there, and then also just being open, even at the national conference, being able to talk to you, it was great. And it showed me how much that you cared about the profession. And I'm happy that you're taking the time to do that. Now I'm happy you're taking the time to talk with me. It's great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked earlier about, what got me into strength and conditioning. I kind of forgot about this, but, I think about 2006, 2007, when I had graduated from Tarleton, a buddy of mine had a hookup to go talk to Tommy Moffitt at LSU. So my friend Brian Keggins and we drove down to LSU one night and got to see their program kind of for a weekend. And, Coach Moffitt didn't know us at all. But the first day we showed up, man, he sat down and talked to us after training for like 6 hours. That man's busy as could be, and for him to sit down with a bunch of high school coaches who are just starting out their careers and spend 6 hours telling us about programming, how to deal with students, just every little thing, just showing that he cared about us. It's like ever since now, I need to pay it forward. I need to do that for somebody else and hopefully get them on the right track and keep this profession growing.
Yeah, I really appreciate people that do that. I appreciate you, sharing that story. I've had a similar experience, and in that way, man, it's really fun just to be able to see, coaches take the time and do that. I like when I'm able to reach out to somebody and they're like, hey, yeah, I can help you out with whatever you need. It's cool stuff. You are doing awesome things at Guyer High School. And I want to know kind of what does it look like for you in the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe even a year out? What is something that you want to accomplish? What's something that you're looking forward to?
Man, I get asked that question a lot, and I always come back with the same answer. I'm not real sure. This is the first time in my life. Like, I've always had goals, and I want to be here, be there a certain amount of years. But, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm in the best place in the world right now. Guy is an awesome culture. The kids are amazing. The staff's amazing. The parents, great support. I love Denton. I've got a head coach who buys in everything we do. He completely trusts me. I couldn't ask for a better spot. I have no desire to ever go to college, for right now at least. And I'm just trying to make Guy the best it can be. Like I said, I felt really good in the weight room. I feel really good with movement. Speed training is my thing I'm really trying to develop now. There's so many avenues of strength conditioning, and there's something that, something later on I'm going to try to improve. Just find a way to make this program one of the top programs in the country.
I think you're well on your way, Coach. There's no doubt, and I think the things that you're putting out there, man. Once again, I'm saying, you're on that right path, and I'm learning from a lot of your videos and a lot of things that you're doing. So, pretty cool stuff. We're gonna take the time here right at the very end, and I want you to throw out answers. I'm gonna give you some quick questions. You answer them any way that you feel, just right off the top of your head. You ready for this?
Okay. Yes, sir. We'll see how this goes.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Person that has influenced you the most.
And I think I just said it a minute ago, Tommy Moffitt. I think the time that I spent with him, and there's been other people that I've worked with that have influenced me, but that one meeting that I had with him changed my life.
What is your favorite quote?
Man, I don't really have one. I tried to think one. People asked me this before, but I really don't have one that just kind of sticks out to me. I failed you on that one.
That's okay. How about this? One of the things that we do at the end of our class every day is we'll do a championship thought, and this is something, just a thought that motivates you, propels you forward, kind of gives you a goal or something, and maybe a guideline that you live by. What's a championship thought that you could give us?
Man, give your all every day, because you never know when it's your last. Like I've been telling our kids a lot lately. Why do you show up to work every single day? I show up every day to work. One, because I love our kids. And I love what I do, but you work every day to be remembered. You want that story of who you are, your last name. You want it to carry on forever. So don't just go through the motions. Make the most of every single day.
I like that. That's awesome. All right, next one. Favorite hobby outside of training?
Man, I'm a boring person. I don't fish. I'm not much into cars, but my little 3 or 4-year-old boy and my wife, man, spending time with my family is what I do for my hobby. Going to watch them play flag football or just go outside and play. That's what my life's all about.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's too boring. Maybe a little bit, but not too bad.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'll have to find somebody to teach him how to fish, or both of us how to fish.
He'll learn how to weightlift and play football, so that's okay.
Dang right. We can wrestle a fish, but I don't know if we're going to catch it.
All right, so you yourself have 15 minutes to train. What are you doing?
Man, I'm probably going to clean and squat.
Clean and squat. So you talking like a complex, or you talking like clean and then separate you're squatting?
Then separate squat, yeah. Biggest bang for your buck. And if I can't clean, I'm going to squat and do some type of pull then. Awesome. Maybe a row, maybe a pull-up.
Last question here. Small school coach who's killing it and deserves a shout-out.
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot here. I don't know if there's just one guy, but there's a group of guys that really are out there just killing it. Monty Spartman at Richland, he gets after it. And these are guys I reach out to all the time because they're exceptional at what they do. Dustin Rotan at Lake Ridge. There's John Mitchell at Veterans Memorial in Corpus Christi. Jordan Johnson in Oklahoma. Jeremy Hefner, Tyler Lee. And then Monty Matthews out in Arkansas. Those are my guys. I think and they're rolling. They got things going on.
That's awesome. And you're saying we should reach out to them, huh?
Absolutely. There's some great minds and great human beings right there.
I can't wait to talk to them. That'll be great. One last thing as we wrap up the show, I want to kind of get your contact information out there, and it'll be in the show notes. I know you listed your Twitter and your Instagram. If you want to talk about that right now, and then also maybe mention your YouTube channel, all the great information you're putting out that way, and maybe any other way that you're willing to get your information out there so others can reach out, contact you, anything that they heard on the show or just in general.
Okay, so if you want to reach me by email, kkeese@dentonisd.org. Just email me there, and I'll get back to you pretty quick. Like I said, Twitter, it's a good resource you can find me at. I don't post as much as I used to, but I'm trying to get back on it. So busy right now, it's football. Instagram, get on there and find some of the stuff that I post for our kids. And then if you'll just look up my name on YouTube, I post a lot of our videos and our training videos and some of the stuff we do for our middle schools. All the information's on there.
Coach Keese, I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you sharing all the information that you had for us. And then I also like that, everything that you're talking about is work ethic and taking the time to do that. And it's clear to see that you have put in the time, you're putting in the work every single day. And that fires me up. That motivates me to push a little bit harder. And I like the challenge.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.